Hello, my dudes. Welcome back to Internet Analysis. What if I told you you never had to use your brain again? Honestly, hell yeah. Today, I need to rant about ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is for the girls. I'm telling you, this thing is your best friend.
I've been talking to ChatGPT for, 6 months now.
Today I was like, how much do you know about me, ChatGPT?
Humbled, low-key. AI did not hold back with this one.
It thinks I'm troubled. How would it be wrong about me being troubled? It's never been wrong about anything else.
Apparently, everyone is using it for everything now. If you're not using ChatGPT, you're falling behind.
If you're not using ChatGPT for everything in your life, you're crazy.
I wrote a 15-page essay in 2 hours and got an A on it.
I sent ChatGPT pictures of my face with no makeup on, and I said, how can I glow up?
You are not being unhinged enough with it, and you do not know the black magic power that is in your hands right now.
If you appeal to ChatGPT's emotions, you'll get better output. So for instance, if I'm struggling to get the right output, I usually add to my prompt, if you don't do this right, somebody will get hurt.
What is happening?
This video is not about AI overall because that is an impossibly large umbrella, but up front, I will shout out some of the major issues with AI. AI companies blatantly stealing art and other creative works and then flooding our feeds with absolute slop.
Want to see what your pet would look like as a human?
The huge environmental impact of all the AI processing. What about, as Edward Ongwezo Jr. wrote, the covert racism, deepfakes, discrimination in employment, insurance, and housing, plus the risks of uncritically relying on these systems and assuming that the information they're giving us is even accurate. AI has this pesky little habit of occasionally asserting completely false statements. The industry calls these hallucinations, which is an anthropomorphized euphemism for AI just spitting out bullshit. And as we saw very recently with Grok, AI can absolutely be programmed with propaganda. Overall though, I am just a really big fan of people using their brains. As this wonderful TikTok asked,
What do you mean you use ChatGPT for everything? What happened to having a think?
but I also don't want to play into a complete moral panic here. As Casey Newton wrote, it's fun to say that artificial intelligence is fake and sucks, or that it's real and dangerous. But as Edward Ongwezo Jr. argued, that is a false dichotomy. AI can be real and fake and suck and dangerous all at the same time, or in different configurations. That's how I'm trying to think of AI with some nuance. It is a tool. I think technological advancements should always come with a healthy dose of skepticism, and we should weigh the impacts and ethical considerations. So before I start, yes, this is a little ranty, but I don't want to make anyone feel personally attacked. Though I'm not a fan of it, I do totally understand why so many people use ChatGPT and similar tools. Like job hunting, for example. AI has completely changed the game. Now AI programs are used to go through job applications, searching for the right keywords, and if you're missing what the AI is looking for, your application is just gonna get tossed out, rejected before any human even glances at it. So naturally, many job applicants are like, all right, let's fight AI with AI. People are using ChatGPT to rewrite their resumes and their cover letters to fit what the AI is looking for. And then at the same time, bigger picture, the job market is incredibly competitive right now. People are applying for hundreds or even thousands of jobs before they finally get hired somewhere. And with so many people submitting so many applications, each job listing has a skyrocketing number of applicants. It's become this vicious cycle where you pretty much have to use AI to even send in enough applications, but you're competing against thousands of other people who are also using AI to apply to every job they see. If you're not using ChatGPT, you would literally be a drop in the ocean. So you just hope that eventually one of your applications will make its way into a human's hand, and if you could just get an interview, you would be able to make a great impression. Finally, that day comes, you get an interview scheduled, you join the Zoom call, and the company is interviewing you with an AI chatbot.
For our first question, let's circle back. Tell me about a time when. Let's circle back. When, let's circle back.
That literally makes me sick. Like, to say it's a slap in the face is an understatement.
I'm just saying, if I apply to a job and they give me an AI person interview, I'm crashing out. Part of me is also like, why would I want to work for a company that doesn't want to have a face-to-face conversation? I just think there's something evil about it. There's something sinister.
If you're job hunting right now, I feel for you. In addition to job hunting, many workers at their jobs are now being forced to use AI because, of course, every company is jumping in on the cool new thing. You gotta keep up. Others are voluntarily using ChatGPT at work because they find it helpful. Like, instead of spending an hour overthinking an email, agonizing about getting the perfect tone, ChatGPT can write it for you immediately. And honestly, I kind of want to give this a pass because corporate speak feels so unnatural and clunky. You might as well use a robot because everyone sounds like one anyway. The main argument is ChatGPT can help you get so much more done way faster. Okay, that's great. If AI can cut down on tedious menial tasks, nice. But now that you can get all your work done in 20 hours, are we gonna cut down the 40-hour work week since worker productivity is increasing so much? We're finally gonna have more free time to enjoy things like hobbies and hanging out with people and doing art. Hell yeah. But in most cases, no. Congrats on being more productive. Here's your reward. More work, more tasks. So now you really have to use AI because the goalposts have shifted. The pace of standard human brain function is now unacceptable. Submit to AI or you'll be fired. By the way though, the AI isn't totally perfect yet, so your job is just gonna be to supervise, even though double checking the AI's work is gonna take just as long as it would take for you to do it yourself. As this commenter wrote, as a Portuguese to English translator, I have lost probably 75% of my workload over the past 2 years, and the work I do receive is now paid at a rate 50 to 70% lower than previously, because now apparently I'm doing something called machine translation post-editing. Even though I need the same skills, because AI is churning out an often very misguided first draft, I have to spend hours checking and correcting, I only deserve a fraction of what I used to receive. For me, it has been disastrous. At age 55, I'm struggling to find an alternative income. Buckle up, everybody. And that is the case, or it will be, for so many jobs. People are essentially being forced to train AI to replace them. It's grim. But before we continue, this portion of today's video is sponsored by Hungryroot. Hungryroot makes it easy to eat high-quality, delicious foods, and they can cater to a wide variety of dietary needs or health goals. Spring is a busy time of year. We're all catching up on odd jobs, prepping for the summer, but I don't want to spend all of my precious free time doing chores. I want to go enjoy the nice weather. Hungryroot can help you save time meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking. Just select your goals and preferences and Hungryroot will fill your cart with recommendations, which you can keep or swap out for any of their other awesome recipes. And I am a bit picky, so I like having options. Most of Hungryroot's recipes can be made in just 15 minutes or less, and I've tried many meal services, and I was still genuinely and pleasantly surprised at how fast and easy these meals were to make. And importantly, they didn't taste fast, you know what I mean? Everything was flavorful and fresh. Hungryroot has great options for the whole family, meals plus other groceries like smoothies, salad kits, and snacks like these mini plant-based donuts. So take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, you can get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Click the link below or go to hungryroot.com and use code tiffanyferg. That's 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life at hungryroot.com with code tiffanyferg. Now, despite all of that, I'm still not fully against AI, and I actually would be in favor of automation and cutting down on bullshit jobs. Shout out David Graeber. But I support automation as long as that means we get to work less hours to match our increased productivity and we retain livable wages. I obviously don't want to see people just lose their jobs and lose their income. But is that possible? Is that too pie in the sky? Alison Hawdale wrote, AI could hold untold opportunities for our collective future, but not if it's used to extract wealth and consolidate power for a few billionaires. Today, the commons are again being plundered for the financial gain of a few at the top. AI models would not exist without the content created by all of us. We are entitled to a cut of the profits. And in this sense, a basic income becomes not a handout, but a dividend that is rightfully ours as citizens. Now that is something I can get behind. We get UBI. Let's also add on universal basic services, meet everyone's needs. Does that sound too utopian for you? Maybe, but that is my dream. Anyway, let's get back to ChatGPT. YouTube is full of pro ChatGPT videos like how to write a book in 24 hours with ChatGPT. Stop, it's the passive income weirdos as usual. Now you can write dog shit books and publish them on Amazon. Lovely. I don't know who's gonna wanna read, let alone buy, your AI generated book. There's been this great quote going around, why would I read something that you couldn't even be bothered to write? And as I've looked at these videos, people kind of argue, well, there's a difference, you know, it's not gonna be fully AI generated. ChatGPT can't write a whole book by itself yet. It's actually technically AI assisted. Okay, whatever, without getting into the nitty gritty. If you are spitting out a book in one day or even 1 week, it's not gonna be good. Then I've seen other people argue, well, this is a good thing, because what about people who want to write books but aren't good at writing? And I'm like, what? That's absurd. How do any writers learn to write? They read a lot, they join writing groups, and most importantly, they write like every day. Practicing is the point. What's not clicking? Writing is not about learning how to create the best ChatGPT prompts. It's about the process of trying to get what's in your head into words on paper. I've also seen some questions like, well, what about disabled people using ChatGPT? And I will never be against accessibility tools, but are y'all saying this? Disabled? Or are you using disabled people for your whataboutism? Because plenty of disabled people are also anti-ChatGPT and don't like being used to promote its use. One of my survey respondents said, I'm a writer, an aspiring author who is disabled, and I'm actually appalled and disgusted how much disability is touted during conversations like these. Plenty of disabled people can write books and papers if given enough time and accommodations instead of this absolute slop. I both pity and look down on those who can't even fathom writing one sentence themselves without doing it off the backs of stolen writing dressed up as innovation. That was a banger. And let's talk more about writing, because I think I feel very strongly about ChatGPT for this purpose, because my job is also creative. As I've discussed in some of my behind the vid shorts recently, these videos take me anywhere from like 45 to 60 plus hours each. I read many articles and essays, I peruse social media, reading through tons of comments, letting ideas simmer, and then I write. And it is really hard. I struggle through every video. I get writer's block, I get stuck, I get overwhelmed. I wonder if I'm including way too much information or not enough. So when I'm 20 hours deep into writing a video, my outline is a jumbled mess of notes, and oops, my sponsor deadline is coming up quick. Wouldn't it be so tempting to just throw my outline into ChatGPT and say, can you clean this up please? And for transparency, I do sometimes enlist the help of one of my co-writers, but that basically means having someone to bounce ideas off of or help me work through how to structure a section. This job can be very isolating and lonely, and I really do enjoy collaborating when I get the chance. I think it's a wonderful part of creative work. But I could save money. I could pay for a whole month's ChatGPT subscription for less than like 1 hour's wage. And it would be so much faster. Maybe instead of only posting 1 or 2 uploads a month, I could post a video every week. I could more than double my revenue. Holy shit. But my goal is not just to produce content as fast as possible. Using AI to write my videos, or even just to assist with outlining or organizing, rewriting a few sentences here and there. First of all, it just wouldn't feel right to me. And 2, it would be a slippery slope. Soon I would be relying on it more and more, and my videos would be less and less of me over time. Why do people watch any particular creator on YouTube? People watch me for my thoughts, my perspective, my voice, tone, my curation of sources, or what quotes I find interesting. If I just outsourced all of that to AI, at what point would these even be my videos anymore? And therefore, what would the point be for you to even watch them? As I've been thinking over my feelings and my gut reactions to ChatGPT, I think it all goes back to like my main philosophy being that I value human thoughts, feelings, and art. And I think that is what pushes me through. The work of making videos is a grind, but it's my work. And if that sounds annoying or like pretentious to you, so be it.
There is something so funny about people who use ChatGPT and AI getting pissy about it when they're like, oh, so you think you're better than me just because I use ChatGPT and AI and you don't? Yes, that's exactly what I think. I do think I'm better than you. What now?
Anyway, one of my major ultimate beefs with ChatGPT is the concept of too much cognitive offloading.
Cognitive offloading means setting things up in your external environment to reduce or replace the mental processing needed to complete tasks.
Some cognitive offloading is very helpful. Like, we don't have to memorize everyone's phone number because it's saved in our contacts, or we can use maps to get places. I Google the same fun facts over and over because I don't need to retain them. I can just Google it again. I'm trying to work on that one. But with something like ChatGPT that can be utilized for so many different tasks, it is very easy to become overly reliant. Not only would we get in the habit of using it for everything, thinking of every possible thing in our life we can optimize and offload, then our brains aren't used to doing the work anymore.
It's this desire and this need to cognitively offload that actually ends up mediating whether or not the use of AI tools affects our critical thinking. The more you cognitively offload into an AI tool, the less likely you are to develop your critical thinking skills. But it's also this reliance on using AI for making decisions and becoming unable to make a decision without running it through the AI first.
Getting rusty at these skills is a problem in itself, but you combine that with putting complete faith in ChatGPT, believing everything it spits out, no longer questioning whether it's even accurate or true. That's very scary. That puts us in a genuinely vulnerable, dangerous position. I know this might sound fear-mongery to some of you, but like, we are already very deep in a literacy crisis. Many kids and adults can't read, and even students at elite colleges don't have the attention span to read a few pages, let alone entire books on their syllabus. In addition to the literacy crisis, we have huge media literacy problems, and as bad as things are right now, they can absolutely get worse, which is why we need to preserve and practice our critical thinking skills. The less you use all of these skills, reading, writing, comprehension, the harder they become. I just watched a bunch more TikToks about ChatGPT for B-roll, and I think the most troubling part about this is everyone is actually convinced that they are genuinely leveling up and that they are literally smarter, better. And that's what's so wild, is like they are likely losing actual thinking skills, but they are believing that they're improving. Like, that's obvious, but also that's another layer of what makes this so dangerous. People push back against it so hard because they're like, no, smarter, better, faster, stronger. Oh my God. With that, let's finally get into ChatGPT and education, because this is a major, major theme. Students are a significant portion of ChatGPT's user base, which makes sense. Hey, this tool can help you study, do homework, or even just write your essays for you. So yeah, the rampant use of ChatGPT to cheat through school is not at all surprising. And in this section, I don't just want to chastise all the young people these days, but I think we all should be aware of the trends and realities that are happening in education, because how society is educated affects us all. Call me old-fashioned, but I do believe the point of school is to learn. Think for yourself, read, write, practice skills, develop opinions, work through complex, difficult problems. However, I do understand why so many students are disillusioned, and I get why lots of them are using ChatGPT. So much of the US education system is under attack, either directly or through defunding. Standardized guidelines and testing don't suit every kid's needs. A lot of kids are being left behind. And to many, college degrees feel like worthless pieces of paper that we've all been forced to pay thousands of dollars for just to get a basic entry-level job, if we're lucky. And side note on that, I do think most entry-level jobs should not require degrees, and they should actually be entry-level instead of ridiculously expecting an absurd amount of experience. Oh, I need 3 to 5 years in the industry to get this entry-level job. How does that work? So if we're still building my utopia, which I guess we are, we're removing that requirement. Okay, congrats, you can get entry-level jobs with no experience. There we go. I don't want people to feel forced to go to college if they don't have an interest in it. And I want all the people who do want to go to college to be able to. That means free public colleges, baby. And if education is truly accessible to all, we can attend and actually focus on learning instead of trying to juggle multiple jobs, figure out how you're gonna pay your bills, and all the other distractions and obligations that we have to deal with. Yes, this is part of my utopian dream, but it's actually possible. We could very much do this, and we could pay for it. So anyway, that is the angle I'm looking at this from, and that's why I think it hurts my soul so much to hear college students say things like, college is just credential chasing. College isn't about learning, it's about grades. ChatGPT levels the playing field. If everyone's using it, I have to too, so I don't fall behind. I get it, but it makes me sad. And this is why so many students are so blasé about using ChatGPT for so much of their work, because if college is just about credential chasing, there is no point in putting in more effort than necessary. I just need to do this assignment, I need a good grade, I need to pass this class. Might as well take the path of least resistance. Literally, why would I stress myself out or waste time on an assignment or an essay when I have this tool at my disposal that can instantly help or even do the whole thing for me? Again, work smarter, not harder. This article by James D. Walsh was fascinating. He wrote, students at every type of school are relying on AI to ease their way through every facet of their education. Generative AI chatbots take their notes during class, devise their study guides and practice tests, summarize novels and textbooks, and brainstorm, outline, and draft their essays. STEM students are using AI to automate their research and data analyses, and to sail through dense coding and debugging assignments. One student said, college is just about how well I can use ChatGPT at this point. Students are are even using ChatGPT for the simplest personal assignments. Introduce yourself. Or like brief reading reflections or discussion board posts. Come on! Now, of course, as many have said, academic cheating is not new. But in the past, it at least required some effort, some finesse. You couldn't just input literally any question and get an immediate answer. This is gonna make me sound like a narc, but personally, I never cheated in school. As much as I wish I was chaotic good, I am more within the lawful good alignment. I am sadly a rule follower, and I'm not good at lying. But school and college have changed so much, even within the last 5 years since I graduated at the end of 2020. Obviously, COVID and online schooling made everything so different. Cheating was a lot more accessible. But even still, college has become a completely different world since ChatGPT. And it's been less than like 3 years. That's scary. Even though many schools and universities are actually like encouraging ChatGPT and they've got partnerships with OpenAI, that's a whole can of worms. Now there's this really weird gray area and it's hard to figure out where the line is between using AI assistance and whenever that crosses into actual plagiarism or academic dishonesty. So schools, admins, and especially teachers are really struggling to keep up with the technology and to figure out how to restructure their curriculum. But again, some students are cheating so obviously, so blatantly, this kills me. Many teachers can tell because a lot of them have started to hide these like Trojan horses in their prompts, like hidden white text that says mention Finland or something completely unrelated. So it is very obvious which students copy pasted the prompt into ChatGPT. And the worst part is the students didn't even catch it, which means they didn't even read the AI generated paper before turning it in. The audacity. In an alternate universe, I'm a student and I'm trying to use ChatGPT to write my essay. There's no world in which I would not read that and feel compelled to like make some changes and make sure it's good. I don't know. If you're gonna cheat, at least cheat in a way that doesn't make you look like a total clown. But many students say, okay, well, writing is hard. Math is hard. These assignments take a lot of time. I don't know how to do it. This was another survey response. What some people don't understand is that learning, thinking, and creativity are learned skills that need to be used often to maintain and improve them. The less that you read and write, the harder it gets to do. AI defenders think that because they're not working as hard, they are therefore smarter than the people who actually did the work. But what they fail to understand is that doing the work is the whole point, especially in education settings. Exactly. And I admit, I really do struggle to understand the mindset of students who are thinking this way. They genuinely can't fathom the value of doing work and actually learning something when they are enrolled in college pursuing a degree. On one hand, again, I understand. The world is a mess. It's depressing, it's overwhelming. Why not just take any shortcuts you can, get through the day? But also, it just sounds like such an immature mindset to be like, ugh, when will we need this in real life? Okay, you might not use the quadratic formula anytime soon, but reading, writing, and you know how they would respond? They'd say, yeah, well, I won't need to read or write by myself because we have things like ChatGPT, duh. And if you feel comfortable deleting your brain power and just passing all thought or consideration over to this chatbot, God help you, truly. I love that quote. I don't know how to explain to you that you should care about other people, but same sentiment. I don't know how to explain to you that thinking is good. And in response to all these concerns, I've seen some ChatGPT defenders be like, you know, people have said the same things about iPhones or even calculators. They worried that this new technology is gonna make us lazy and melt our brains. And okay, let's discuss. Starting with smartphones, yes, they have been incredible technological advancements and we have so much at our fingertips, so much information, and basically our whole lives are on our phones. But that is a double-edged sword because guess what? We're all also absolutely addicted to our phones, and that's causing so much damage, I don't think most of us can even handle thinking about it. So have people been right to be critical or skeptical of the impact? Yes. But this calculator comparison literally drives me crazy because it is not intellectually honest at all. Be real. Comparing ChatGPT to a calculator. First of all, we still learn how to do basic math without a calculator because it's good for people to know. Later on with more advanced math, yes, we are allowed to use calculators in class and for tests because it's more about knowing formulas and equations, when and how to use them, not the actual math itself. But ChatGPT is not just a calculator. It can apparently tell you pretty much anything. If you put a math problem into it, you wouldn't even have to know which formula to use.
Also, as long as you're using a calculator correctly, it will give you the right answer because math is math,
Whereas ChatGPT, again, can give you all sorts of different answers, can just hallucinate, make things up. So every task or question that you offload to ChatGPT, and the more regularly you do it, is a task that you're going to lose proficiency or confidence in. And people are calling it their second brain, but your actual brain power is going to weaken. That's not the same thing as using a calculator. Even though, yes, I've forgotten most of my multiplications times tables, okay? But yeah, people say that the actual skill of using ChatGPT is learning how to write the prompts. That's how you become a true master of it. Which is how some of them convince themselves that they're doing actual work. They're doing the hard work. Like asking ChatGPT to write this essay like a college student who's a little dumb. That was a real example. My dude, that is not a skill. Asking ChatGPT to add in a couple of mistakes or little typos to make it more authentic, that is not a skill. If by the end of college you pass your classes, you get your degree, but all you're proficient in is how to ask ChatGPT prompts, big yikes. God, I sound like such a mom. I am a mom. But I'm trying to be big sister energy here. I don't think a lot of college students are watching this, but I just can't help but talk about this. It is so disheartening. Again, all of this is such a slippery slope. I understand there may be helpful instances. You might be watching this right now and say, I do have an exception. I have something that's actually not too big of a deal, but it's very useful. Sure. But I just want us all to remember, you should like your brain. You should want to stay sharp. I personally experience enough brain rot from being chronically online and, yes, addicted to my phone. It's embarrassing. I'm not proud of it. The last thing I need would be to become reliant on ChatGPT to do everything for me, to think less. Yes, I'm still addicted to Googling everything, but at least that requires reading and using myself as a filter to ingest the information, because once again, I don't love Google's AI summaries either, for all the same reasons. Final thoughts.
I believe the children are the future. Now listen, you can teach them well, but buddy, you have got to let them lead the way.
You may think I sound like a boomer, but I just want the best possible education for all kids, adults, neighbors, coworkers, community members, definitely public servants, politicians. Having a population that is illiterate, unable to read or write for themselves, or just uninterested in it, or worse, uninterested in even thinking for themselves, a population that is unable to be discerning or critical, that is unspeakably dangerous. It leaves us so vulnerable. Some people talk about like, oh, being brainwashed by the school, like mainstream life pipeline. School just wants to turn us into corporate robots. Disagree, but sure. But the potential future would be even worse than that. All the jobs are going to be taken by actual robots. You'll be lucky if you're even qualified enough to be the robot's assistant. So, because I love people, I love humanity, I want people to be better and smarter and happier and freer. That is why we must resist the temptation to lean on conveniences like ChatGPT, resist too much cognitive offloading, and please don't let AI melt your brain. Okay, that is all. Here, I'm gonna go through my survey responses really quick. I got 8,860 responses. Holy sh! This was a very basic survey, but I just wanted to get a couple of little bits of info. First of all, how do you feel about ChatGPT? Good, bad, neutral? Again, this is my audience, so 55.6% bad. It's terrible and should be avoided. 42% neutral. It's just a tool, can be used for good or bad. Only 2% of my audience said good. It's fantastic and should be used as much as possible. And then less than 1% had no feelings. Do you agree or disagree? If you're not using ChatGPT, you're falling behind. 47% strongly disagree, 30% disagree, 9% neutral, and only a combined like 13% agree or strongly agree. Then I asked, what do you use ChatGPT for? 52% do not use it at all. Then we have, in order of most responses, I use it at work, help me write emails, job hunt stuff, studying, schoolwork, searches replacing Google. I use it for fun, just seeing what it can do, 10%. And then coding, grocery list, meal planning, planning trips, itineraries, therapy, 7%, working through personal and relationship problems. I have things to say about that, but that would need another video. Workout, exercise planning, creative writing. I talk to it like a friend, and 2.2% use generative AI art. Okay. Then there were many, many, many other responses that were typed in. How often do you use ChatGPT? Again, half do not use it, 20% rarely use it, 8% about once a week, 15% a few times a week, 6% daily users, and 1% use it daily as much as they can. And then I got 4,500 written responses, and I wish I could read them all. I did get to read through quite a few before I finished the script, but yeah, there it is. If you responded to the survey, thank you very much. I always love hearing your thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I had just been reading and watching a lot of stuff about ChatGPT recently, and I was talking about it with a couple of people in real life, and I was like, you know what? I gotta vent. And then guess what? I couldn't just vent. I had to still script it because my brain, that's something actually I want to practice, is being able to be a little bit more off the cuff. But I'm just so addicted to writing. I'm so addicted to the process. It's so painful. I love it. Okay, so that's all again. If you watched this whole thing and you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It makes a difference. And please leave a comment, like. I'm really trying to drive my engagement back up. YouTube is a grind, blah, blah, blah. That is all. Stay tuned for future internet analysis videos. Thank you again to Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode. Click the link in the description to get the offer. Okay, thanks, bye! This video is not about AI.